Welcome back to another episode of Blind Boys Politics. Chris, how are you doing this week?
Doing. I'm just doing.
You're doing.
I can't say I'm particularly terrible. I can't say I'm particularly well. I can tell you that I'm a tad bit tired.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear it, but
These
you'll
weeks
survive.
are this is gonna be a very long month. That's all I'm gonna say on that matter.
We'll push through. We'll live. We'll
I'm
survive.
gonna want to go on like a recess for like 3 months and after this and decompress.
We're not Congress. We can't do that.
Um, I can make it happen. I'm
Or
the
you could just
CEO, the CEFO. Wow.
CEFO.
I'm the CFO and I'm on the board, so I make all the decisions and you just go along with it.
I'll just record on my own.
That's fine. I'll get a 3 month vacation.
All right, have fun.
You'll enjoy me going. The viewer
Viewers will
numbers
miss
would
you.
go. Yeah, I mean the numbers would just drop drastically, so I wouldn't want to do that to you. So I'm
Wow,
staying.
I'm
I'm
that bad,
staying.
huh? I'm that bad,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, well,
Wow.
speaking of that, shows, just a quick reminder, tomorrow morning we will have a recap of the vice presidential debate. Then Monday we'll be back with news. Wednesday, another failed election. Friday, regular show like today. Saturday, recap. So that's like the upcoming week. We'll remind you in each episode, but just to give you a recap of what is going on in the world of Nicholas Rod and Chris Baker.
It's a lot. There's a lot happening. To put it short and sweet, there's a lot happening.
I thought this Friday would be a little bit on the shorter side, so I booked an interview that we'll get to later in the episode to
Yeah,
celebrate something very big, which I wanted to do that anyways, but this week a bombshell got dropped on us. And Nick, can you lead us into that?
yeah. So, as many of you, as most of you probably know by this point, hopefully anyway, um, our president, Donald Trump, had gone to the hospital last week and was released Monday with a reported positive test of COVID and then followed by symptoms of COVID-19.
So just kind of like a timeline of everything because things did kind of happen quickly. Friday morning around 1 a.m., the media got word of he tested positive, same with the First Lady. And, time went on. A few other people were tested. Some came back negative, some came back positive. But around 6 p.m. Friday night, the president was brought to Walter Reed Medical Center, which is the hospital that all presidents go to if they need to go to the hospital.
Yep. So then, after that, it was reported that he had symptoms such as cough, fever, shortness of breath, things like that. Kind of the typical coronavirus signs.
Now, to get into some of the medical things of it, his doctor did have a press conference Saturday morning. His oxygen level was at 96% at the time, which, if you don't know, that's good. His blood pressure was 110, 120. It has since changed, but it has improved since then. And his heart rate was between 80 and 90.
Now, there were some things from the press conference on Saturday that there were questions that just weren't answered. Some of those things include, what was his fever? There were reporters asking what his fever was because, like we just said, he was reported to have a fever. Doctor wouldn't mention that number. It was asked what his CAT scans show because they did CAT scans. Those results weren't giving either. So it was questions like that we just didn't get the answers to for reasons we don't have access to.
Now, the whole involvement of Trump being in the hospital, there's four major parts to this, and we're going to break them down. That was like the first part, him in the hospital. Now we're going to talk about him being discharged. He was discharged Monday night at 6:30. Now, some people say that was on purpose. Some people, it's a time. That's kind of up to you to form your own opinion. 6:30 is primetime news time. Did he do that on purpose? Did he not do that on purpose? But whether or not you think that, there was a big photo shoot when he got off the helicopter and walked up the stairs, and right on the balcony there was a photo shoot. Everyone saw it. He took off his mask. That was a whole big thing. Some people don't really care. Other people are upset about that. That's for you to really form your own opinion about it. If you want to form your opinion about it, be educated about it, I recommend you to go watch the videos, because we can describe it to you, but we can't show you the videos of it.
Right. We can say anything we really want, but the only way you're going to be able to tell for yourself what you think, what you should think, um, is like Chris said, just go watch the videos yourself. Go get the firsthand account of um, of what happened yourself, because if we even try to describe it here, we may not do certain parts of the video justice to one side or the other. So, you know,
Go watch it and determine that for yourself.
yeah, exactly.
So, you know, last November, this was an issue. He was at Walter Reed Hospital it wasn't in his schedule for anything. He was brought there fastly, and, the doctors didn't give any information, and, it kind of got let go. But at the time, many people were upset. They wanted to know what was going on, because he is the president of the United States. He's the commander in chief. So if anything happens to them, that does put a big target on our back for security threat. And not only that, it is a person, and, people do care about the guy and they want to know. But, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, everyone was like, why isn't the doctor telling us anything? Why? Well, to tell you honestly, he doesn't need to tell you anything. He doesn't even need to tell you that he did test positive.
All right.
Morally and ethically, he did, but there's HIPAA violations. He can't tell you everything, and then some things he just doesn't want to tell.
Yeah, legally, Trump never had to disclose anything. Now, would it have probably gotten leaked eventually, and gotten its way into the media? Yeah, probably. But yeah, like Chris said, originally, the Trump administration nor Trump himself ever had to say anything about testing positive, about why they were going to the hospital. The doctor didn't have to give any information about his status during the press conference on Saturday. Legally and technically, they didn't have to say a word about anything that was going on. But of
Right, and
course,
this has been an issue that's going on for over 100 years between FDR and JFK. They don't need to tell you anything. It's no different from back then to now. They don't need to tell you HIPAA and personal privacy.
right, and the, the White House over past century, or if you really want to think about it, forever, they're not always the most honest places. They're not always the most, um, politically correct and honest places and administrations. But they don't have to. Like you said, Chris, FDR, JFK, however you want to look at this, if you look through history, there are examples of this, and it's just kind of becoming expected at this point.
And they don't have to. And the time now is, where is the right balance for the president having his privacy and him telling people what is going on, since it is a virus that is a global pandemic causing. What is the right balance of what he tells you, what he doesn't need to tell you, what he should tell you, what he doesn't want to tell you? They need to find that balance. And that balance to everyone's going to be their own opinion. Some people are going to say he should be giving us every single details. Some are going to be like, that's his personal privacy. You shouldn't. Someone's going to be down the middle. But at the end of the day, that's really his decision to what
Yeah,
he releases.
yeah, you're right. Now, this kind of brings us to another topic that Chris, you and I spoke about at length, and I'm sure a lot of other people uh,
It
thought about
it
it
grabbed
too.
waves Friday.
Hmm.
Something, that it grabbed waves Friday.
Yeah,
It's something that's not generally talked about. Friday, that was like what everyone was talking about.
right, and if you don't know, the subject is, what if Trump had been too ill for an extended period of time? What if he becomes too ill again to continue carrying out his duties as president of the United States? Well, there's an entire process to that, and it all has to do with a transferal of power to from position to position down the line.
Now, there's two different things that have covered this on what you have to do and, like the rules and regulations. There's the Presidential Successions Act of 1947 and under the 25th Amendment. If he feels like he can't do the job, he writes a letter to the House Speaker and the President pro tempore, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Grassley. Now, it's just a letter saying I'm transferring my power to the Vice President, which is Mike Pence. And then, when and if he gets ready to return back to the job, he just writes another letter saying I'm ready to take the power back. Not power, but position.
Yeah, and if the vice president, in this case Michael Pence, um, if he and a majority of the cabinet feel that he's not fit to come back, then then the Congress will have a vote on what will happen. And there's a whole line of succession for this process, and that line goes from the president to the vice president to the House Speaker to the Senate President pro tempore, and then there's a whole bunch of cabinet members, and then it eventually ends with the Secretary of State, or at least that's where we'll end it here.
Right, and when you're referring to the 25th Amendment, it's very vague on what it is, what the power of duties is, how it gets transferred, and everything. It's very vague on how all that works, and it is subjective to versus what the times were then to what they are now. So that could have brought up a whole bunch of different issues, and luckily we didn't have to go there. Luckily, he didn't need to transfer power to the Vice President, Mike Pence, because that could have brought up a whole other issues, his medical condition and the transferring of power. Now, Nick, I don't know if you know this, but Friday, people were saying, okay, yes, we know if a president dies, power gets, not power, but the position gets transferred over to the president. What if he is ill? And what if the vice president feels like he is too ill to still do his position, but the president still hasn't written a letter? Well, the vice president does have the authority to write the letter himself and send it to the House and the president pro tempore.
Yeah. So, the process is very complex. It's very detailed. They even went as far as to create an amendment for it, like we said, the 25th. But again, like we said, luckily we haven't had to go there. We didn't have to go there over the past week, and hopefully now he can continue to improve health-wise and continue to be stable health-wise, and we won't have to worry about a transference of power at any
Hopefully
point.
that doesn't happen for various reasons, but just hopefully that situation is gone. And there was also talk on Friday, because it is an election year. The election does go on even if a candidate does die. Now, that is a whole separate conversation. That would be like a whole episode on its own on explaining how that whole situation works. But essentially, it would be a mess. I mean,
Yeah,
that's an episode for a later time to talk about that process.
that's a very complicated process.
It's not a straightforward answer.
No, it's kind of a runaround if you really look at it. So yeah, we might do a full episode on that later down the line, but that's not something that we'll talk about anywhere here in these news episodes.
So, Nick, that was the 4 points of, President Trump being admitted to the hospital. There's been other news going on. I mean, the next topic, it starts with some good news, might get better news, and then it just depressed.
It dies.
It
It
does.
dies
It was
immediately.
done. Boom.
And what would
By a
this
single tweet.
news be?
It would be the stimulus, the
Hmm.
heroes package with the stimulus. It passed the House.
It did. It did pass the House, not by a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, keep in mind it was only 214 yes to 207 no.
Yeah.
So very close on that one. Now, if you don't know, once something leaves the House, it's a vote yes, it moves on to the Senate. Now, this you can look at this two different ways. Yay, it passed the House. Now maybe it will pass the Senate, or great, it passed the House. Now it doesn't stand a chance in the Senate.
Right. With such a narrow vote, it's not looking. It wouldn't look too likely to pass through the Senate. It's very, very shaky.
Right, and if you missed our last Friday episode, the Democrats are proposing a $2.2 trillion stimulus. The White House is $1.6 trillion. The Senate is saying we're not. No, that's too high of a number. They need to come down. Well, back and forth, that went. Nick, where did that get us?
um, that got us absolutely nowhere. The Republicans were calling the whole thing outlandish. The Democrats are saying, and I quote, "It's not even the loaf; it's the heel of the loaf." um, so essentially, what they would have told us all is that they're going to continue negotiations, trying to figure it all out.
Right. We were prepared to tell you, what would happen for a
Yeah.
vote, but well, President Trump with a single tweet today. Well, not today, yesterday, he said, "No more. We are not doing any more stimulus negotiations until after the election, and I win." Well, Nick, can you explain to us what the problem with that is, please? Just
Well,
for the love of God, save me some headache and explain this one.
yeah, happily. So the first problem is that he's not guaranteed to win. Um,
Oh, really?
but
Huh.
I guess the reason behind him saying this is, you have to stick to your guns when you're running in a campaign like this and running in an election like this. So I understand why he worded it the way he did, I suppose. But no, he's not guaranteed to win. He's not guaranteed to to be in office after this election is over. Um, and even if he does win, even if he does win the election, he can't just immediately pass the stimulus. Of course, it still has to go through the House. It still has to go through the Senate. But of course, those are things that we will talk about once the election happens and once we
Now,
can actually give some definitive information about what might happen.
I feel like a broken record. We've said this 100 times. The president can say that this is going to happen, but he doesn't have the authority to do it.
Right. Well,
Like, can we get that? Like, can you turn my volume way up when you're editing and have, like, hallelujah music going? He's saying the president doesn't have the authority to pass it without the Senate
yeah,
and the
sure.
House.
Sure. We'll have some fun. I'll have
Please
some
and
fun.
thank you.
I'll have
Please and
some
thank
fun.
you.
Editor's gonna have fun, guys.
I mean, so we've said that countless times. So you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. Don't count on it, even if he does win, because it's going to have to pass the Senate and the House. The House might be grumpy if he wins re-election, and if he doesn't win re-election, that ain't going to be a stimulus on his top priority list.
Yeah, if he wins, it's gonna be interesting because the House is gonna be, the House is Democrat heavy. There's a majority in the Democrats' favor when it comes to the House, and so that doesn't bode well. Like Chris said, they might be a little grumpy. Um, whereas the Senate is Republican majority, and well, that might work in Trump's favor, But then we have the question of, is the House going to allow anything to pass through? It all becomes very complicated, and that's where I say we will just leave this one unless there's any like groundbreaking information that comes out before then. We'll leave this one until the election happens and it's all over.
Mm-mm. Now, with that's the perfect segment, the election. We're talking about what could happen with the election. Well, we got some election news for y'all.
Oh
Yes, we
boy.
do. The FBI and Homeland Security just gave everyone a PSA because we need a little bit more drama with this 2020 election, right? Yeah.
You
So
know,
they issued a PSA for everyone.
and it's giving me 2016 flashbacks, only on an even deeper level than 2016. Um, Essentially, we are being told to keep an eye out for hackers, foreign hackers to be specific. They
Cyber criminals, as they so elegantly put it.
mm-hmm. um they're saying that the cyber criminals want to screw with the election results. Sorry for my bad English. Um, how are they going to do this? You may ask. I know I'm curious. Well, the answer is that they are going to create false and fake websites that look real. These websites, of course, to be more specific, um, are the ones used for voting and election websites, we'll say.
And this is going to be done mainly to confuse you for the election result. It's going to be done to confuse you of what the actual election results are. There might not even be a set. Okay, this person won, and these websites are going to be like, this person won. Woohoo! So it's going to make you question what's actually going on. And another way besides these websites is they're going to spread it all over social media. Because
Oh yeah,
social media is a great place to spread fake stuff. I mean, let's be honest.
yeah. This this could get ugly, honestly.
Now, if you're new to this whole voting thing, the states make sure everything is accurate. They count the votes. They don't, they do the whole thing. They make sure it's as accurate as it can be. So, trust what the state is telling you, not what Joe Schmo on the corner is telling you, or what you read on Miss Susie's Facebook post.
Right. Yeah, and if you hear about voting issues or result issues and things that don't really make sense on social media, verify it. Don't just go along with it and spread it. Actually verify its validity. Make sure that they're not coming from one of these fake sources or one of these fake websites. Um, and of course, if you do find some blatant fake news, results, information, whatever, you can report it, and you should report it to the FBI.
So that's your PSA from the FBI and Homeland Security. That's your drama for the day of voting, the election, just all the drama. They just
Election
gave you a
drama.
little PSA, and you are welcome.
Drama, more election drama. Like I said, this gives me flashbacks to 2016.
So, speaking of drama with the election, let's talk about some early voting
All
that
right.
we're in October. So, there is now 32 more states added to the list of who can vote early.
Yeah, pretty simply, like each state has a different day, so it's not like all these states just kind of started this all at the same time. So if you're unaware of when your voting time starts, when your early voting starts, um, make sure to go to your state's website. You should be able to find the information on there. And if our show note person is feeling generous, there will be a link to the list and the dates in the show notes. So take a look for that. If it's not there, like I said, go to your state's website. You should be able to find the information there.
Now, keep in mind, that election day is November 3rd. So everyone's recommending early voting. Do it. Just do it. Get it over with. But the election day is November 3rd. So that's going to be the entire country. That's voting day. You can vote that day. So there's that. But when you vote, especially if you're going in person, have a plan, because there might be long lines. Like, have a plan. Don't just go into this blindly. Know who you're voting for. Have a plan. You might not just be able to walk in, vote, and walk out. You might have to stand in line for 10 minutes. You might not. You might have to wait in line for an hour. It all depends on where you live, really.
Yeah, things can vary. Things are going to vary and be different in all the different regions across the country. So yeah, just go in knowing what you're going to do. Don't just kind of
Go in blindly.
meander. Yeah, don't go in there blind and meander around, kind of stand there at the booth for 20 minutes not knowing who you're going to vote for.
If there's a line, people won't like you very much.
No, you might start to get some angry comments.
Now, closer to the election day, I'm sure we'll have a video of the whole detailed process of voting, have the plan, all that. But until then, just be ready, people. Be
Yeah.
ready. You have the obligation to vote and this and that. But moving on from that, the Supreme Court's now back in session.
Yeah,
They started on 10-5.
with some pretty big cases they're going after too.
And just keep in mind, yes, there's only 8, and yes, they can operate under 8. But their October and November, like Nick said, their schedule is jam-packed. And I'm sure with the election, there's going to be some thrown-in cases in there.
Right, and if you are wondering how they operate with 8 people, if there is a tie, the decision usually will go to lower courts. Now, just like session, arguments will be held over the phone, so nothing will be in person or anything like that.
And, with November, there's actually a big case in November with the Affordable Care Act. Now, that's interesting timing because Amy Coney Barrett was just appointed, and she's against the Affordable Care Act. And they
Right.
have a case, and if she's confirmed by them, that might be interesting. That's interesting timing right there. Then, like we said before, with the election, I'm sure there's going to be added cases in there. So just because there's 8 justices, that doesn't mean things come to a screaming halt. They still got cases to see, and they're seeing them because if you look on their schedule, they are jam-packed.
Oh yeah. Nope, they're not slowing down. They are
If anything,
going
they're
in.
speeding up a little bit.
Yeah, they're getting hit hard.
Especially with their regular schedule and whatever gets thrown in there.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see what happens, and if anything big comes up, especially when that Affordable Care Act case does go through the court. If any information does come out about how things are going on that front, we can always report about that here as well.
And you know what? That is pretty much what we have for this week. We still have one more topic to discuss, and that is New York City. What the heck is going on in New York City right now? With schools are closing back down, numbers are on the rise, everything's going crazy. Now, I thought, why would me and Nick talk about it when we have the official, non-official New York City correspondent idly waiting by to tell us what is going on?
Exactly. So, for the first time since our second episode, we have a guest.
And if you don't know who that guest is, we have Omina back with us. So our special guest is Cinderella. If you don't know what I'm talking about, refer to our second episode, because Rapunzel over here didn't cut her hair. So I accidentally called her Cinderella. What we're actually talking about is Omina. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, Amina. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You will be forever known here as Cinderella.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, princess.
Thank you.
So, how's it going?
It's amazing. How about you?
I'm doing great. Yeah.
Oh,
How about you, Nick?
fantastic over here. I'm still alive, and that's all I can honestly ask for at this point.
So, Amina, she's in New York City, but I'm pretty sure I already said that, but who cares?
It's okay.
Schools in New York City were shut down once again. Is Amina sad about that?
Very sad because I was actually looking forward to socializing for once, but now that's done.
So, I guess my question would be did you even get really a chance to go back
One
to
day,
person one day?
but I spent the whole time with my vision teacher looking at diagrams.
So literally, it was almost pointless.
Yeah,
Is there a date that you'll go back?
they haven't made it official, but I think 2 weeks.
That's great.
Well, hopefully it is
Well,
only
with
2
the
weeks.
governor's new guidelines that they released yesterday, who knows? It might be 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
They closed my school yesterday, but they closed my sister's today.
Yeah, I mean,
You can thank the beautiful map that was made by our governor for that one.
Oh, love it. Gotta love how much sense all of this makes.
So let me understand this correctly. New York City is pretty much shut down again. Schools are closed. There's no more indoor dining. Or was there ever indoor dining?
No.
So no schools, no indoor dining. And winter is right around the corner. And is it true that they plan on having outdoor seating in a snowstorm?
I don't know how that will work. You gotta ask Governor Cuomo for that.
Oh, he's gonna be getting a phone call from me tomorrow anyways.
Yeah, I know we saw that Mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, he tried to he made it clear his opinion, stating that outdoor dining would be available year round. How many people are actually gonna bundle up and sit outside while it's snowing like crazy, like it does in New York sometimes?
Oh, I'm
Even
sure
in the city.
Amina will.
No.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
good.
I'm sure we'll find Amina out in the snowstorm.
DoorDash.
DoorDash.
That's my number one spot.
Now, can I say something? DoorDash needs to sponsor us. So I'm calling you out, DoorDash, because
Uber Eats.
do not talk about Uber Eats around here.
No, DoorDash is
DoorDash has made just about an appearance in every single episode.
It feels like it is a very common
Because me and
occurrence.
DoorDash are like best friends. I'm a DoorDash premium member. I love DoorDash. They need to sponsor me. So I don't know where I was going with that, but they need to sponsor me.
Y'all are in places where y'all can get DoorDash. I'm over here in the middle of nowhere at both parents' houses, in the middle of nowhere, just unable to get anything. Can't get DoorDash,
Well, you
can't get
got the
GoPuff,
friendly
can't
Chris
get
over
any of
here.
that stuff.
Poor
Chris
Nick.
could deliver. He could Uber to your house.
Because I'm sure Chris is gonna take that kind of time for me. Okay.
Well, I can Uber to his house, but I can't have food delivered there.
Why?
Yeah.
Because he is living in the middle of the country where nothing ever happens there besides chop down corn.
And feeding the cows. And milking the cows.
So the whole reason of this interview, because we got like 4 minutes left, was that we are celebrating our 20th episode.
Wow.
Woohoo! Can we have confetti editor just shoot out of the
course.
sky and like loud fireworks and like the whole
Of course,
thing?
Yeah.
Thanks. Like we want loud
It's
explosions.
crazy to think about it.
20 episodes, 20 weeks, or close to 20
weeks,
not quite
with
20
Chris.
weeks, but we've been doing this for quite some time now.
I can't believe it's been 20 episodes because I did the social media, because if you don't know, Amina's been managing the social media. I only did one episode and she's done the rest, but how has it been 20 weeks that we've actually continued doing it? That's my question.
Oh, I know. Well, and we've had, besides our main news episodes, we've had the failed elections. We've started the debate recaps. We've had a couple other special episodes thrown in there, like the history of the debates that came out on Monday. The dedication we've thrown into this, I'll admit, even I wasn't, completely convinced that we'd actually get this far in such a short amount of time.
I feel like the only one that thought we would was Amina, because there was a few nights that I was like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And she just yelled at me.
Yeah, no, there were a few nights where I felt like I was going downhill with the whole idea. And then all of a sudden we just snap back to reality and be like, yeah, no, we got this.
Yeah.
Because Amina yelled at you.
No,
there's the wrong one in charge around here.
I know the employees motivating the bosses. That's fun.
That's backwards, but
A little bit. It's okay.
but
Okay. We're here
Cinderella.
either way.
I'm
Thank
sure
you,
you've gotten a
Cinderella.
haircut. Thank you, Cinderella. Have you gotten a
Thank you
haircut?
for
I'm
having
sure you
me.
have.
No
Haircut. So is it like 3 feet long now? Like, is there
Is it
like
sweeping
hair?
along the
Oh,
floor?
actually, I have gotten a haircut.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Well,
forgot. It happened like a long
how do you
time. Well,
forget that?
no, it was just like I don't know. I slipped out on mine, but it was a month ago.
is
I
it
cut my
touching
hair.
the floor right now?
No.
I don't know
It's
if I can
not
call you
long enough.
Cinderella anymore.
Even
Though
it's
it's
supposed to be
Rapunzel, but we'll call her Cinderella.
Okay.
Throwback.
Roll back on Thursday.
But we're running out of time here.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Amina, for being here.
Thank you
If you
for
want to
having
follow
me.
her on Twitter, and if I remember her Instagram if she wants, will be down below. But there is no promises on that because I'm terrible at remembering that.
Yep, and with the end of this interview, let's return
Thank you
back
for
to
listening.
let's return back to our closing segments.
Well, now that our special guest is gone, it's back to the regular programming, and we have Nick's favorite. I kind of like it, mostly love it. Dumb Laws segment.
Oh yes, we are back once again, and I thought that maybe over some time this segment might not be my favorite. It might get old or whatever, it might get stale. But no, I still love it. I still adore this segment just because of how much it makes my brain explode. But Chris, why don't you take the privilege to go first this week, bud?
Okay, that was fun. For your personal amusement, Nick, I'm traveling to Maryland.
Oh
And
boy.
in Maryland, it is illegal to cuss on the highway. So you might as well lock me up now.
How did anyone ever think that this law could be enforced?
It's not like no one's going to know. I could say you and who's going to know.
Exactly. You're not going to have like microphones in the car with the police being able to pick up everything you say nearby. No one's going to enforce this. No one can.
Well, in theory, it's a wonderful idea, Nick, so just go with it.
Oh, Maryland. How sad.
Oh, Maryland, when you travel to Maryland, you better not swear in your car. I'm telling you once, I'm telling you twice, the cops are watching you swear in your car. They don't know, but they'll just guess.
All right, so we had our first musical performance on the show.
I'm quitting my day job. Screw this, Nick. I'm going to Broadway.
I believe in you. Follow your dreams, my lad.
It's knowing you, Nick. Good luck. If you guys love me, follow me to Broad Street.
Broad Street?
I'll be over on the corner of Broad Street singing my little heart out.
It's not a way anymore. It's just a street. It's been downgraded.
Well, you gotta work from Broad Street.
Yeah, I was about to say it's the B tier.
Yeah.
B tier Broadway. I love that. I'll be at your shows, I promise.
Thank you, buddy.
But yeah, no, Maryland, you failed. I'm sorry. But for my dumb law, we go to Alaska where they made the point of bars very obsolete, we'll say, because there was at one point a law, and technically it's still in effect to this day, that says that you cannot get drunk in a bar. So this means that if you're already drunk, you may not knowingly enter a bar to drink more, and you can't remain like in a bar for very long if you have been drinking. Now, it's outdated and it's not enforced anymore. But the fact that this is a law that still technically hasn't been taken off the books. It's confusing because you have bars which are pretty much tailor-made to be a public place for drinking.
Well, my question is, what is the purpose of a bar then?
I don't know. Like, I'd have to research this further, but somehow I feel like this law may have come into effect and like, well, no, that wouldn't even make sense because never mind everything I just said because we wouldn't have even owned Alaska at the point that I was about to talk about, which would have been the 1920s. But
So you're giving me permission to forget everything that you just told me?
Everything. Just let it all go.
Miracles do exist. I don't have to listen to Nick. I don't understand it. Because then that would be like, okay, so I can drink in the streets? Like, a bar is meant to drink.
I mean,
is this possibly a law when, like, alcohol is banned?
Well, that's what I was going to say, but that was back in the 1920s. And if I remember my history correctly, which hopefully I do, we didn't own
You're
Alaska.
only a news reporter, so Lord, hopefully.
Yeah. We didn't own Alaska at that time. So this really wouldn't have made sense in that case.
So we have questions about Maryland, how that gets enforced, and we have questions about where's yours?
Alaska and what in the hell they're doing.
It was Alaska?
Yeah, it was Alaska.
And Alaska. But now let's move into my favorite subject. My favorite segment, Good News, brought to you by Chris Baker.
I want you to know that when you say brought to me by, that was the creepiest thing I've heard all day. Thank you.
You're welcome. This week's good news story. I wish I had more details on it, but it was a very vague story in the beginning, so I had to piece the story together. But there was this 85-year-old man. He still was working. He actually had a job as a pizza delivery man. Well, when you're 85 years old, you're supposed to be enjoying retirement, things that 85-year-olds do and not going to work every day. Well, he delivered a pizza to one man, and this man thought, this is outrageous. I would hope someone would help me retire, so I'm going to help this man retire. Delivered a pizza. He tipped him. Now, that's not just where he stopped. He decided to spread the word, and it spread like wildfire. People started donating money just to get him retired. And then the owner of the pizza shop said, you know what? We're going to start from this week to the end of the week. Whatever all of my pizza delivery people earn in tips, I will match whatever that is, and it will all go to him. Well, by the end of that week, the man walked away with $90,000.
Oh my God.
Now, this story continues because the man said, I'm just going to take a little bit to live off of, and then I'm donating the rest back to the community.
Wow.
So this is the story that keeps on giving.
Yeah, I mean, this is a true example, a very lively example of the phrase "pay it forward," and it just, we've talked in the past from good news stories and how some of these stories could possibly cause chain reactions of kindness and stuff like that. Well, we're seeing that. We're seeing an effect of that. And the kindness shown on everyone's level here, from the man who started this whole thing to the other people that donated, to the pizza shop owner, and to the 85-year-old man himself, giving money back to the community from what the community gave to him. That's incredible.
It really is a great story, and I wish I had more details to give, but that was all I was able to find on it, and I did look for quite a while for, names where this was located and all that, but it's just kind of vague information, unfortunately, but the details were there, it was kind of held anonymously of who these people were. Which they probably did that because they were doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They weren't doing it for the recognition.
Right, they weren't looking for the publicity. They weren't looking for the attention. This is an example, and unfortunately, a rare example these days of an entire community just coming together and supporting one another in the biggest ways possible. You know, and you see a story like this, and if enough people see this story, if enough people get to learn, what this community did, we could see more communities do stuff like this. And if we can, the ways in which we can come together in a time like now where we're so separated, um, across the board, it could really just change how everyone sees one another and how everyone gets along. And it could start to create a bit of a united front where we actually start to help one another up constantly across the entire country.
Nick, it is Wednesday. Wednesdays are recording day, as I'm sure everyone knows, because the views on the presidential debate was 70 million people, so I'm sure everyone was watching. At the end of it, there was an eighth grader that asked a question, with so much fighting, how do you expect us, the people, to get along? Well, you know what? I think what it is a lot of people, they just see the negative news and no one sees the positivity news. If people saw the positivity news, they would see that there is a lot of good people in this country.
Sure, no matter where you are in this world, in this country or in a country all the way across the globe, you're going to see bad people. You're going to see fighting. You're going to see people that can't get along with one another, those that can't negotiate, those that can't give their opinions and give their side and hear the other side as well. But they're just a small number compared to the number of people that we still have in this world who are willing to give back to others, who are willing to stand with others, in the name of unity and of kindness. It still exists in this world. And if we could start to get away from this negativity, if we could start to get away from this, this darkness that is brought down through the media constantly, we might be able to really change our, begin to change our thinking, go on that path of being able to see the beauty that still exists. And this story, with this old man in this community, is a real, like, it's a true example of this fact.
I agree with you full-heartedly, and as always, we always end the show with great news, and I feel like sometimes the news just gets better and better, and I wish we could just keep on talking about good news, but it is the end of this week's episode. We'll see you tomorrow morning for a recap of the vice presidential debate. If you want to follow us on social media in between uploads, links will be down in the show notes. Our special guest, Amina, her information is down below, and of course, see you Monday morning, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday again next week. Boy, that is a lot. All right, see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, see you guys.